Hello everyone, welcome along to another Saturday session. Thank you for joining me. Now I've got a special guest today. His name is Jeran. He used to be a flat earther, probably, arguably the largest flat earther ever to quit flat earth. He did so because of the experiment Antarctica. We'll talk more about that in a bit. But thank you, Jeran, for joining us. How are you doing?
Doing fantastic, thank you. Happy to be here.
No, I'm really pleased actually because it's been a while since the trip to Antarctica, which we will talk about in a bit. But I want to talk first a bit more about sort of your flat Earth experience. Now, you were part of a team called the Globebusters, who are a pretty big team in the flat Earth world. What did that flat Earth community mean to you then, being in it?
I mean, it was definitely like a family. You get to know some of these people and you see them as good people. So you kind of feel like it's a team thing. They're on your team, they're your side.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it meant a lot at the time.
Yeah, and I mean, like, there definitely was a good rapport between like you and Bob and who's Taboo? What's his name?
Ben.
Ben.
Taboo,
yeah. There was a really good rapport between the three of you, and you seemed to get on really well.
Yeah, we also had Iru Landucci.
Iru, that's it. True. Yeah.
So it was a good group, and we just enjoyed getting together and discussing whatever the current topic of the week was, or letting Bob present some piece of science. So it was, we got along great, and the audience was good, while it lasted.
Yeah, no, well, I mean, I've got to admit, back when I first started, you guys were definitely the most professional outfit out of everyone doing things, I think. And it did come across, even though obviously we were trying to sort of explain that you guys were wrong, it did come across that you all wanted to try and find out what was going on. A lot of it's not like Nathan's team who are really like abusive all the time and things like that. You guys seemed more genuine, definitely.
Yeah, and I think Bob was really, even though people might not see it that way, Bob was very scientific.
Yeah.
So he wouldn't let us wander into La La Land. He would always try and bring it back. F equals ma kind of discussions, and he didn't like the answer of like relative density disequilibrium. Those guys.
Yeah, I remember.
Would
Yeah.
say, well, down is down. And Bob would always just say, no, there's got to be a mechanism. There's got to be something driving it. So he was definitely a good guy and missed by many. But after I don't want to say it's after Bob left, but that era is gone of flat Earth, which was actual research and people actually looking into it. It got to a certain point where that just kind of hit a wall. We know why now, but so it was a good outfit. They still go. I mean, I handed the show off to Alan and Shane, and they've been running with it.
I mean, but it was sort of a real hot stage for flat Earth, like that 2017, 2018, 2019 years. It was just rife everywhere, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was taken off. And then they had to start, and I don't know if I agree with it or not. I still don't really know, but they had to start suppressing us. They had to start shadow banning. I've shown before where my videos don't show up in your watch history, which is crazy. You would think if you have a watch history that would include everything you've watched.
Yeah.
But they just have found a way. And again, now I look at it and I'm like not thinking it's a terrible idea. It's probably not that bad of an idea. But no, at the time it just looks like we're being censored. That means that we're onto the truth.
I was going to say,
really, it's more a matter of just you can word things in a way, I think is what I see from Flat Earth now. You can word things in a way that makes the everyday person really look at it and go, oh, you know what, they might be right.
Yeah, definitely.
That's enough sometimes to get people, because then they start thinking, well, I believe this my whole life, but I don't really have any evidence of it. I don't really have any proofs. So then they really start to question that alone. Yeah,
definitely. And I think when it's a group like your guys who are trying to come at it at that angle, compared to someone like Nathan,
right?
People see Nathan, they would just listen to him and think, oh, he's an idiot. He's just insulting everyone or whatever, and they wouldn't give him the time of day. But where you guys were trying to sort of work through things and trying to be scientific, they're the sort of angles where people think, oh, hang on, maybe they're onto something there, or
Right. Certainly.
And I want to touch on that briefly as well, because there always has been historically quite a lot of infighting in the flat Earth community, hasn't there?
Yeah, I mean, it started for me right at the beginning. I remember Eric Dubé telling me I couldn't go on it. I was scheduled to be on Mark Sargent's show for the first time. This is early 2015.
Okay.
And Dubé said, if you do that, you're a shill, because he works with NASA. He's a NASA shill. And it was like, what? Well, I'll, let me determine that. Let me go on his show and I'll see if he says anything weird. So that was kind of the beginning. And then when I went on his show, I immediately got put on Eric Dubé's shill list. And yeah, from there, it just was always a segregated or segmented community. You really couldn't get that full gust behind you because everybody was like in little factions.
Yeah. And didn't Bob and Nathan had quite a big fallout, didn't they?
Yeah.
Was that about gravity?
Yeah, I think about what science is.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, because I mean, Nathan has this very rigid approach to science, and if that were the case, then we wouldn't have anything today. So, science is what you can apply to practical results, what you can apply to the real world, and he just has this whole thing about science. All it does is prove things. When we are on the other side that says no, science is always changing. That nothing is ever proven. Now, can we say something's a fact? Sure. Yeah, after it's got enough evidence, you can definitely put something in the fact category. But as far as saying it's proven for all times and we don't need to worry about it anymore, our side didn't believe in that.
Yeah. No, I think you definitely were coming at it at the right angle, like I said. But
it should always be about what claims best match reality.
Totally.
And the problem with today is that now you've got a flat Earth group who says they have no map, no model, and they make no claims, and so they shouldn't even be allowed in the conversation of science.
Yeah,
it's not a scientific endeavor.
They are the worst, and Level Earth Observer's probably the worst at that. The no claims, it's just
an easy way out, right? I mean, you could just, no matter what anybody says, you could just say, "Oh, I believe in demonstrable reality."
Yeah.
Well, we demonstrated it. We looked at it. So it's it's kind of hard to get that across to them.
Yeah, the thing that makes me laugh the most about him is he's like, I know it's not a ball, but I know it's not a ball. I know that, but I don't know what it is.
Right. So that's what they all say. That's the mantra. Right?
Yeah.
And you have to start people off with that. Like, we know it's not a sphere. So, and then it really is indoctrination. Once a audience member has heard that enough times and from a number of different creators, then they start repeating it. It's like this new thing. I don't know if you've heard that we can't tell the shape of the ground by looking at the lights in the sky.
Yeah.
It's so hilariously bad because we don't get to just outlaw certain lines of research.
I know, it's incredible.
Or evidence. I mean, you can't just say, "Oh, we don't look at that to determine this." No, it's evidence. We look at everything. So, but you notice that what happens is once one creator says it, then the other creators pick up on it, and then the audience picks up on it, and then they all believe it. You can now, from the outside looking in, I can just see this stuff happening a mile away.
Yeah, I bet you can, because you've got such a real insight into it. I mean, when sort of the debunkers really started taking off, and we always used to chat with each other, and it was always sort of decided that we were never really trying to turn. So, for example, if we were doing a video on you, we weren't really trying to turn your head and make you realise you were wrong. It was your audience that we were worried about, not you personally, because we knew there'd be a lot of people on the fence who could be swayed either way.
Right. And I mean, I think that one thing that you guys maybe don't realize is how little the actual flat earthers watch you.
Oh, I can believe that. Yeah.
They're kind of told not to. I mean, in a way. And it might even be subconsciously. Like, I wouldn't even watch you unless somebody sent me a video and said, "Hey, what do you think about this?" It's not like I would be like, "Oh, Simon Dan put out a video, let me go watch." In fact, you do the opposite. You want to avoid that. Yeah. Because there's going to be something in there that's going to make you feel uncomfortable, or something in there that's going to bug you. So yeah, I mean, and I didn't really notice that fully until it was me, and I noticed that I wasn't being watched by any, and I realized, okay, so they've just easily pushed me into that category of, now he's a glober, he's paid off, he's compromised. So they just block, and it's not like, let's tune in and see what Jeran has to say today. They refuse to do that. Yeah. And probably for the same reason, right? They know that there's going to be something uncomfortable in there. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about that a bit more, actually. So I came onto the scene in late 2017. I mean, there was a few sort of biggish people around by the time I'd come in, but I want to know from an ex-Flat Earther, am I the pain in the arse that I hope I am to Flat Earth?
Probably not as much as you would like, but because they can really just keep going, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
I know.
This is what I notice is that Dave Weiss just blocks everybody who disagrees with him, so he never sees any of your videos or Toon or Creaky or anybody. This is what I think people fail to realize is how easy it is, if you want to be in an echo chamber, to build that echo chamber for yourself. Yeah. You can once you just hit block one time on Creaky, and then guess what? You don't see any more of his videos. So for somebody like Dave, and I noticed this when he was doing an interview recently, and he said, "Oh, here's a picture of, this is from NASA, and it's a picture of like red rocks, and then there's like some trees and bushes in there." And I'm just like, "What? That's ridiculous." I said, "Of course that's not I looked it up, did the backwards check of the video image and found where it was from. But then, 2 weeks later, he's still saying it. And at first I wanted to say, oh, this guy's, but I'm like, no, he's never seen my video. And then as a flat earther, they're not going up to him and saying, hey, Dave, you're wrong about this, you're wrong about that.
Yeah.
They're just not. They just kind of let it go. So what ends up happening is you just have a bunch of people being wrong often, and then people learning that stuff who think it's right, and then they're also told to block you guys, so they don't see the retraction, they don't see the other side. So what does that end up with? It just ends up with a bunch of people who are very wrong, who think that they're very right, and are very cocky about it.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is bad.
One thing I have noticed change was in the first couple of years, there was definitely a lot of videos being made about me by flat earthers.
Right.
I would say the last 2 years, hardly any. So like hardly anyone's doing it now.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think that that's just because maybe I was going to say, would that hurt their numbers or not? No, I don't know why. I think that just what are they going to do a video on? You're usually pointing out some flaw in a flat earther's thinking in some way, so it's hard to basically attack you for that, especially if you're right. So I mean, I can see why they would ignore that. Or I haven't made a video about you in forever.
No,
throw your name here and there.
Honestly,
make a song about you or something. But
oh yeah, the songs. My wife loves the songs. She is a big fan of the songs.
Yeah, I bet.
So let's skip forward a bit then to Behind the Curve, the documentary. Now, I was contacted by Daniel Clark before it came to Netflix, when it was still on iTunes, and said, "Can you have a watch this? Let me know what you think. Do a little mini review," which obviously I did. How did you process the results of that immediately afterwards?
Well, that's one thing about me and you, or why I had a problem with you was, and I know that since then FTFE has changed his tune, and so has MC Tune, and I thought that they were going to speak to you about it, but really what happened during that test was they let's say this, they took what we did and kind of chopped it up in a way that they could put it in the movie and make it look like something, right?
Yeah.
And so what people don't realize is that movie actually made me more of a flat earther, because
I'll bet.
if we go out and we do an experiment and it doesn't show anything, and we were seeing results for both, and actually you can find the video called Interesting on my channel where I show all the paperwork, show all the receipts, that we all walked away from that event thinking nothing was proven, because we saw both, meaning we saw both the light at 23 feet and then 17 and then not at 17 and 23. So we were just all over the place. But they took one particular scene of us not seeing it at 17 feet when we're supposed to. And even if you think about it, the guy holds it above his head, and then I say, oh, interesting. And then everybody ran with that forever. But remember, the difference there would be 6 feet, but he added his chest and held it above his head, which is a difference of 2.5 feet.
Not as much.
So really it's about 19.5 that we saw it at, not 17, not 23. Now, MC Tune's done some math on it, and he came out with, that is with refraction what you would expect, the 19 feet that we got.
Okay.
So what I told him is, I said, well, here's the thing, Tune, as I said, if let's say it went the other way, that I came home from that event and I made a video saying that we proved flat Earth, and then I showed just one observation.
Yeah.
I said, do you see how that's wrong?
Yeah.
Just because they took one observation, they didn't tell you about the time before that or the time after that. And I said, where's the scene where, after I said interesting, all the people that were there, wouldn't we have all come together and been like, oh, shoot, it's a globe? Or there's no scene like that, because there's nothing like that happened. It was a middle of the road observation. So I had a bad taste in my mouth with those guys from the very start.
Okay.
Because it was misrepresented. I mean, it was, now looking back, maybe Tune's right, but I certainly would never think you can take one result and call it, final. And then I even tried to go to a lawyer, and they said, well, no, is that a real scene? It's like, yes, I really did look through the camera, really did say interesting. Okay, well, then they didn't do anything wrong. They didn't say you proved a globe. They didn't say you didn't. They just put it at the end of the movie. Yeah. So they have, and then of course I signed away my life. Basically you sign a document that says you can use me however you want. Right. Which was not a smart move, but I mean, and you know what? To be honest with you, the movie was good. The movie was well made. It was pretty. It was aesthetically pleasing. It just so happened I hated the end, of course.
I agree with you in that if you're conducting experiments, the whole of the experiment should be shown. Totally. I mean, it's not right to publish the one that stitches you up, basically. Even though you know, retrospectively that you were incorrect about the shape of the Earth, that's still not right to do.
Correct. And it actually, like I said, made me more of a flat earther, because your thought then is that, oh, if these guys need to lie in order to push what they want to push in their movie, well, then there must be a reason why they have to lie and use me.
Sure.
So again, it's just one of those things where I'm sure that they saw that scene, saw me say interesting, and probably thought to themselves, oh man, this could be a really great ending, because he just saw something and is like shocked by it. So, I mean, again, and then I think it was you. Did you have an interview with them on your podcast or something?
I did interview Daniel Clark. Yeah, I did.
Yeah, I think I remember you asking him, if I remember this right. It's so funny because it's so long ago. But you asked him if there was anybody upset about the movie, and you know he never mentions me. So you guys never even mentioned me the whole podcast.
That's interesting. That is interesting, actually.
Yeah, and I'm the only one who had a problem, really. I mean, Mark thinks it's the greatest film ever. He thinks like that. It was
I
like
knew that. Yeah, because he's the main man, isn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, he loves it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's just very strange.
Yeah. So did they show you before they released? Did they show you the film before it was released?
No,
they
never saw it.
So what was the immediate fallout after that when you first saw it?
I just remember Patricia Steer calling me, and I asked her how the movie was, and she was like, it was good. You know, I did everything but you at the end or something. And I said, what do you mean me at the end? And she goes, oh, at the end you say interesting, and you show in your experiment that the Earth's curved. And I'm like, what? Like, when did that? What do you mean? What part? And she's like, oh, you were standing there and you're looking through and you tell Enrique to stick his light up. And I'm like, and I couldn't even remember that moment because it was one of
lots
20,
of times. Yeah.
Right. And so, and I just remember thinking, okay, I got to see this. And when I saw it, I was livid. Because again, you know what you're going to get from the community.
Yeah.
And, I'd even thought they weren't even going to show any of the experiment because it was basically a fail.
Okay.
So I didn't even expect that to be in the movie at all.
Right.
But it ended up being kind of a big part of it. At least it showed that I cared enough to go out and test, which I appreciated.
Yeah.
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 But again, when you make it look like, because then you have everybody saying, oh, I think maybe you made a video, or I'm trying to think of who else did. Oh, I think Dave McKeegan made a video basically saying this flat earther keeps proving the globe or something like that. And I think you've kind of done the same thing. And the interesting thing, I get it. So, yeah, I mean, it always kind of upset me, but I also knew there's nothing I could do. And I was honest in what I did. And that's all that mattered to me. So,
I mean, I ran more with the 15-degree thing than interesting.
You did do that. Yes.
I milked that until it was dry. How did Bob feel about that one?
I think he also probably felt misrepresented. I mean, obviously everyone's saying like, oh, he tried to hide it from, I mean, he knew he was mic'd. Obviously.
Yeah, of course you do. Of course you are, yeah.
Yeah, so it's not like, oh, you caught him on a hot mic, or you caught him when you didn't think he was, I mean, you knew he was on mic. So, no, I think that we wanted to get kind of our opinion of what happened first, because Bob was very sure that he thought that the 15 degrees an hour was showing because he went and did it again at a higher altitude or something, and it changed.
Okay.
Can't remember what it changed. Yeah. So he just thought that it could be the sky or something from above, the ether, whatever you want to call it, causing that 15-degree drift. So he was okay with his position on it. And, so, I mean, was his take. And he kind of saw the same thing with my end, which was that they didn't actually show the real experiment. And then they were supposed to, I didn't tell you, but they were supposed to give me the extra footage. I'd asked for, when they said they were going to come film it, I said, well, can I get some of the extra footage? Well, after they sold Netflix their documentary, they told me, oh, no, we can't now. It's in our contract that we can't give you any of the footage. I'm like, no, I just want the footage that wasn't included in the documentary. Like, we can't give you anything.
Because then you could have published it all. Yeah.
Yeah. So, again, it was like kind of upsetting because here's these people lying to me. We had it not necessarily in writing, but in text messages back and forth, them agreeing to do that and then them having to take that back. So, Bob was he was upset at them, too, for the way that they made it look.
Yeah.
He was kind of saying, oh, we don't want to show this to our audience yet until we are sure about it. We want to do some other testing and things like that. And then everybody ran with that as, oh, they're trying to hide things from Flat Earth. And, thanks, Bob. But he never said anything to me like he was that upset about it.
Oh, okay. All right, fair enough. Yeah, funny you mentioned Mark. I mean, they've sort of really tried to entwine a little story with him and Patricia in the film. And I spoke to Patricia briefly sort of when she left the community. We both got cats. We both have a love of cats, so we sort of bonded over that. But
when she left this time or the time before?
The last time.
Okay.
What were the circumstances involving that, her leaving? Do you know?
This most recent time?
Yeah.
Just the final experiment.
It was literally The Antarctic trip.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, well, we had got back and she was watching my kind of stuff. And then I guess what really got her was me filming the SpaceX rocket launch
Okay.
from down at Vandenberg.
Yeah.
And I'm 188 miles north. And so in filming that, and it was one of those things where, of course, flat earthers are going to say a million things about the experiment, or that I'm affirming the consequent, or, if I see rocket, then sphere, I see rocket, which isn't the case. The case is that I knew it was launching, and I said, well, let me just go film it, and we'll calculate when we see it.
Nice.
And so we filmed it from 188 miles away.
Yeah.
And it was like 1 minute and 5 seconds until it appeared on my horizon. And I started asking the question because my wife made up a term, because I asked her, where do you think the rocket is, for a minute? And she's like, Vanish Land? I'm like, yeah, it's probably in Vanish Land. So, I remember
brilliant.
Patricia called me, and she was talking about that. And she goes, I can't grasp it. How could it take a minute for it to appear? Where was it? And I said, yeah. And then she goes, what about angular size? Could that be it? I'm like, no, because the rocket's actually going away from me.
Yeah.
So it's actually getting further. So it can't be getting further and then it appears due to some sort of perspective. So I said, no, I mean, and it's predicted by the globe. That's what the globe. And then, you always got flat earthers asking you, where's the curve? Show us the curve. I'm like, well, what will you accept? Because this is pretty good evidence that, I'm not seeing that rocket till it's 25,000 feet in the sky. And then Dave Weiss came out with a video saying that it was 20,000 foot clouds that condensed down to as big as the horizon. And I'm like, Dave, we can see Canigou from 1,000 feet high. It's 188 miles away, and we can see a 9,000 foot mountain. So I'm like, so why isn't it behind 20,000 foot clouds? And what happens on cloudless days?
Yeah.
It just, the clouds only come on rocket launch days. And so I think that's really what got her. And then she, just basically called me and said that, I'm not getting good answers from people. I'm not getting good answers from Mark. I guess she tried to show Mark my rocket launch, and he said, oh, what, does Jeran think SpaceX is real now? She goes, well, that's besides the point. Just why is this? And he wouldn't answer her on that. So, so she just decided that it was no longer something that she could be behind.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's the same thing with Paul on the plane. Same thing with Robbie.
Yeah.
Is that in order for the Earth to be flat, the South needs to be a lie, because otherwise it can't be the opposite of the North, or else it's not flat, right?
Yeah.
So I think that that's kind of the big thing, I think, for all of us, is that once you realize, and they had all called me and asked me questions about it, and then we kind of all determined, that how could you go down to, say, Punta Arenas and the sun do exactly what the sphere calls for, and then you follow that sun down to Antarctica, and the sun does exactly what the sphere calls for, and you're seeing the sun south of you in Antarctica. None of those things are in line with the flat Earth.
No. So
quickly you just realize that that we were wrong. It's pretty grossly wrong, tragically, but I'm glad that those guys, I give them a lot of credit for stepping out after they saw what happened to me, because it was kind of like, in a gang when you get jumped on the way out so that they don't have other gang members that want to leave. It's kind of the same thing, right?
Yeah.
It keeps people in their place. So I was impressed that they all did what they did.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, let's talk about that experiment. I mean, for those who don't know, I mean, you should know really if you've been following along, but the final experiment was to travel down to Antarctica during the summer solstice down there and witness the 24-hour sun, which obviously is not possible on the most popular flat Earth map, I would say. What were your expectations going into that before you left?
Well, I really didn't think the trip would happen. I don't know if you remember when Greater Sapien had some, right, there was supposed to be some flight, and we had all predicted the flight wouldn't happen, and sure enough, it ended up being, whether it was a trick or a hoax.
He got scammed, didn't he? I think he got scammed.
I think so. I think it was like, they collected a bunch of money and then took off or something.
Yeah.
So we kind of thought it was going to be the same thing. I also thought it was kind of rushed, because I don't remember when it was that he came out. Maybe it was June-ish or something.
About that, I think, yeah.
So just to see him talking, and again, there's even video of me basically laughing at the idea and saying, "Oh yeah, we're going to go to Antarctica. Yeah, sure. We're going to just all go down there in a plane, and we'll just like." And so I remember when Dave turned it down. I remember even thinking to myself, like, "Man, I don't think I could turn that down," because it really, in my mind, told me that'll tell me the answer.
Yeah.
So I didn't think there was really ever going to be something like that. I think I kind of always thought it's going to be one of those ambiguous things. I didn't think there would ever be a clear answer. And so when I got asked by Duffy, I just said, if I could feel safe going, then I would go, and I think that it would be huge. And I respected Duffy a lot for that, because it's something we don't really see from globe earthers versus flat earthers, there's not really been a moment where somebody says, hey, let's go look at this. And if this shows, then it means this. And if this shows, it means that.
That's true.
And Duffy was able to say, no, if we go down there and see the sunset, it means that the globe is falsified. And to me, that was like, yeah, I agree that in my world, in my vision, or my idea of what the world is, then it has to set. It can't circle your head. So I figured it was, worth at least saying I'd go. And then if it got canceled or something like that, I think it would look good on us.
Of course.
And so as time started getting closer, it was like, oh shit, stuff started arriving at the door, like, your duffel bag, you're just saying, like, I got to get my act together. So you started getting ready. And then I thought, well, maybe it will cloud over for all day when we're down there, for every day. I didn't really know what to expect. As it got closer, I knew that if it were real, that this is what would be playing out, right? So if it was going to circle then, I kind of noticed, like, this is exactly what would be happening. This is where we'd be at this point. And then when we went down to Punta Arenas, the very first night we were there, which the live stream is still on my channel, seeing the sunset right to left, way south of west.
Yeah.
And then we basically saw the light of the sun tracking right to left.
Yeah.
Just completely destroying what I thought.
So that had you worried then, that moment?
I wouldn't say worried.
Not worried, but had you thinking, okay, maybe I am wrong.
Yes, already, yeah. Because, and even Austin and I say in that video where we're like, well, then it comes down to the sun. If we travel in that direction, the sun should lift up as we're getting, just like everywhere else, 69 miles would be 1 degree of lift. And so, and we kind of still had the coffee cup caustic idea in our mind, or could it be some sort of a reflection off the dome or, something. But we knew that if we traveled down there and the sun just lifted up, then it would stay in the sky the whole time. So I think that it really opened my eyes to how the sun works. I really can't even say, maybe you guys do say it, but I didn't know that for everybody in the south, the sun sets right to left and rises right to left. And for everybody in the north, it's the opposite. That's huge because I've been trying to get my audience to see it. They don't really see it as much, but if you're at 50 degrees south and you see a certain sunset on December 21st, if you go to 50 degrees north on June 21st, it's the exact same thing, just the opposite direction. So it's pretty definitive. Like there's no question. It's not like I still sit around thinking maybe it's still flat.
No. It really does. It does. I mean, you probably won't get it from me, but it fills me with joy that you're saying stuff like that, because from where you've come to where you are now is incredible.
It's kind of an incredible journey, and that's why even if it's 10 years, I mean, I get it. It's embarrassing. It's things like that, but at the same time, I had a goal and I reached it, which was I didn't understand the shape of the Earth. I didn't understand the ball Earth. Didn't think it was a ball. And even though I started preaching about the flat Earth, you always had it in your mind that, well, maybe I'm wrong. Now I think that people in time have gone away from that. I don't think that Dave Weiss thinks he could be wrong. I don't think these guys think they could be wrong. I think they think there's no possible way that we could be on a spinning ball in space. But it's really that they don't understand it.
Yeah.
Even like scale is something that I just don't think flat earthers get.
Totally.
And it wasn't until I really pulled out GeoGebra, learned how to use that, and drew a sphere, with the known radius of the Earth. And then when you really zoom in, and you just realize, oh man, everything's flat.
Locally.
I mean, it's just
exactly.
I mean, of course, bodies of water lie flat because they're so small to us that they're going to be flat. And I think they've even done measurements of the surface of water, and it's like within like the nanometers of light. It's really very flat locally. But again, that's just locally.
Sure.
And then I don't think that, when we started hearing about the 8 inches per mile squared number, many people started to use that. But I mean, we really don't use that there's no reason to have that in life. I mean, it's just, you'll never need it, right? We don't ever measure something over there and say, hey, how does it level with this? No, we just do locally. Once I took that numbers and came up with, an 1/8 inch of curve for every 660 feet, I just realized that we would never see that. So you shouldn't even expect to see it.
Yeah.
Can you see it over distance? Sure. But you're looking over water then, and then you've got buildings covered, and people can make excuses for mirages or fata morganas, and then it becomes kind of ambiguous. But the truth is the matter that just knowing that we would never see that curve, unless you do things like film a rocket launch from 188 miles away, then you see it. There's lots of ways that you can see it. But I mean, people saying they see the curve from an airplane, again, those things are just kind of iffy. The math says maybe you can, maybe you can't. It's just kind of one of those things. But the truth is that the Earth is a sphere. So pretty crazy.
Interesting you mentioned David Weiss. Why do you think he turned it down then? The trip.
Well, he was telling me before the trip, don't go. They're going to kill you. They're going to do this. So I think that's his opinion. Is but they're going to have some trap. It's going to be something. They're going to MK Ultra you. And so, I mean, I just told him, well, I feel safe now, especially as they added Lisbeth and as they added Austin and then Mark and John. Then it seemed legit. So then I didn't have any of those fears. But yeah, Dave was just like, they're going to do something. They're just going to have some trick up their sleeves. So I thought it would be a good thing if I went down and saw it. And, he even said something in an interview before, like there's a 0% chance that Jeran is compromised or that he will lie. And then I got back and said what I said. And now he says, oh, he's 100% compromised and he's lying. So it's like, okay, good prediction there on the 0%. So yeah, he surprised me a lot. I've not talked to him since I got back from the trip.
Okay.
So besides, I maybe emailed him a couple times and I think I texted him a couple times and then he blocked me. So that's what he does, right? He just blocks you so that he doesn't have to see my videos anymore. So the thing that sucks about that, I don't know if you saw the video that guy, who Space Busters is?
Yeah, I know Space Busters. Yeah.
Yeah, Steve Falconer.
Yeah.
So he did a video called Scam-Arctica, and he did like number one and number two, and they're just atrocious. They're awful. It actually is proof of the globe because he actually shows a place in Antarctica that the place to the west gets the sunrise first. And he's like, that's impossible. It can never get the sunrise first. But in actuality, because the sun rises south of east, the sun does hit something west before it hits further north and east. So, but again, I made a retraction, or not a retraction, I made a video debunking that. So did others. But still to this day, I mean, you'll still hear people in the Flat Earth community going around saying, oh, no, Steve from Space Busters debunked Antarctica. He showed that it's not possible. So this is why I know what they do is and I saw text messages, people showed me text messages of them saying, hey, we're all unfollowing Jeran, unsubbing him and blocking him. So that's kind of their technique.
Yeah.
They can sell it as, well, now we know Jeran's compromised, so why would we listen to him?
Yeah.
He's been with us for 10 years. Now he's speaking, so he's definitely with them, so he's just going to be lying. So it's just very easy to get people to, and then they kind of need to, right? As a flat earther, you kind of have to put yourself in an echo chamber, or else you're just your mind's gonna go crazy.
Yeah, no, I get that.
You have to hear the same thing from the same people, follow the same. This is why they get very complacent in their play. And this is what I saw that was such a problem, and why I never did well on YouTube is because I didn't care to cater to my audience, and I would often say things and go against Christianity or something like that that would cause them to flip out, whereas other people or stay in line and they do better with having an audience. But for me, it was too much. I always kind of was very proud of, I'm just going to be myself. I'm going to be honest and be who I am and just let the chips fall. And I've kept doing that, and now I'm almost out of YouTube. So obviously my ideas are terrible.
You have been like that in your defense ever since I've started, sort of seeing your channel. How laughable was it that you went down there, you saw the 24-hour sun? I watched a ridiculous video of Dave and Mighty Leeds talking about how they could have made LEDs. How laughable is that to you, having actually seen it?
It's really sad. I mean, it really just shows. I mean, and talk about no confidence. Like, I wouldn't be able to tell that it wasn't the sun. It's just insane. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, we all know what the sun looks like. You're not going to be able to fake that. How did you put that in the sky? And it's a plasma ball. And he's describing it like, because that radius is right there. He says it's only 10 miles, so they could have a guy hand off. I'm like, Dave, everywhere else in Antarctica, all those people see the same thing. They all see the sun. Everybody at the exact same latitude is going to see the exact same dip, from 35 to 15 degrees. So it's laughable, and it just kind of showed me how our mind works. Because once you're out of it, you can then look back at how your brain must have protected certain things.
Sure.
And then you see it in others. So it's just a matter of because when you have the option, one option leads you away from the current belief that you have, and then the other option is the only other chance. You're always going to go with that one. I think our brains do it. Our brains want to protect what our current beliefs are. Especially, I mean, imagine me. If you start talking about the flat earth, then all of a sudden you see emails from people saying, oh, you brought me back to God, or people show up at a conference and want your autograph, which is just really weird, want to meet you. They're standing in line to meet you. I think that you may not know it unless it's kind of subconsciously that your brain wants to protect that. Yeah. It doesn't want to admit, oh, shoot, those people had no reason to want your autograph. Oh, shoot, those people shouldn't have stood in line to meet you. You were wrong. So I think that your brain will do anything it can. So for Dave, and I think most of the flat earth community who saw me as somebody who they thought was honest and truthful, that when I go down there and see that and come back and say what I said, they have options. Either one, trust me and believe that I'm still the same guy, in which case they have to question their beliefs, or second, to go with whatever the alternative is. So no matter what that is, whether it's that I'm compromised or a sellout or I've been
and that's the easiest road to take, isn't it?
Right. It takes no work.
Yeah.
Right. It takes no work, takes no research, it takes no brain power of yours. You don't have to go look into things again. So that's what most people go to. And I even noticed that the big names do that. I mean, all the big name creators did that. So at this point, I have to ask though. I mean, if it went the other way, let's say that Dave Weiss went down there and he came back and said that he saw it. I at least would have to go watch everything he's talking about, because it would be very important to me to say, hey, this guy's been a flat earther for 10 years. Now he's not. Please explain to me why. But I don't see people doing that with me. So that's the kind of where I'm still questioning whether these people that, especially the big name creators, do they know that it's not flat and they're just, grifting, or is it that they're really just like me, that just feel really strongly that they couldn't possibly be wrong, and then there's something in their brain that's protecting them from realizing that, however many years they've been doing this have been wasted.
Well, I mean, I don't know if Craig FTFE spoke to you about this, but we do have like lists of who we think is telling the truth and who genuinely believes it and who doesn't. There's it's widely discussed between us who we think does believe it and doesn't.
I've got questions about Dave Weiss now, obviously.
Yeah, I bet you do. Yeah.
Yeah, so definitely. So shout out to Ruhif. Ruhif told me way before the trip, he's like, when you get back from the trip, Dave Weiss is somebody you're going to think a lot differently of than you do now. I'm like, thanks. And sure enough, he's got a point.
Ruhif's incredible.
To go around telling people that you get, he's going to give 3 Bitcoins, 6 Bitcoins, he's going to give all these Bitcoins if you provide one proof. And then we even have him on video saying, somebody says they want to go down to Antarctica. He's like, yeah, go down to Antarctica and film the 24-hour sun and prove the Earth's a globe. So even he's already said what the proof is for the Earth to be a globe. But now he just keeps saying it, and he acts like it just did, and he doesn't mention to anybody. It's like, so now you look at him, you're like, Dave, you're saying that so that people buy the app, but you have no intention of even, at least say to them, well, somebody already did submit a proof, but I changed my mind and moved the goalpost.
Yeah.
No, don't say that. So that's why you start having to call into question him. And I just think it's a lot of egos. Maybe some of these flat earthers are kind of, not the top rung of society. And so I think when you're kind of on that lower end of the ladder, and then you get some recognition, and all of a sudden people respect you, and all of a sudden you're getting people who like you. That's a tough thing to turn your back on.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, my audience know, and I don't know if you do, but I run a lot. So I tell everyone as much as I can that I run a lot. And I am hoping one day to do the Antarctic Marathon
that'd be awesome
in the next few years. Yeah. And I was thinking about if I supplied because obviously I've got a running watch and it tracks me wherever I go. If I supply my GPS data to be made public after that marathon, would that go some way in helping the cause? I don't know. But
no, they can just say those things are
faked,
manipulated. Yeah. Or, I remember, who was it? Somebody was talking to me about the Starlink and saying, but don't you think it could have been, something else? I'm like, no, they just got Starlink this year. Like, it was like perfect timing. And they're like, yeah, but couldn't it be undersea cables that have gone? And I'm like, no, I saw Duffy set up the dish.
Yeah.
We just set up and I was amazed. I remember, if you even watch my chest cam footage, when we landed the plane, I said, oh, no way we can live stream from here. It's just no way. Quality, you're looking around, it's just mountains of snow and ice, and as far as you can see, you're like, there's no chance that we're going to be able to do that. And then we got to the camp, and sure enough, they're like, oh, we got Starlink, and here's the password, and we logged on. I went right to YouTube to see what kind of service I had. I'm like, I'm going live. So I was the first one that went live from there. And it wasn't a bad feed. It was kind of shocking. But then you got all these people, it's so funny because we never even said that we would live stream from down there because we know we'd be able to.
You didn't.
But now you got all the flat earthers saying, well, where's the 24-hour live stream of the sun? It's like, so no matter what we did, and if we would have provided that, it would have been, where's the 5-day live stream of the sun? And if we did that, it'd be, where's the, it's always something. So they can just kind of move the goalposts constantly. That's what they do well, I guess. They're able to move from one subject to the next and to call into question this and that. And
definitely.
It's very easy to get people, especially flat earthers, right? You can just say, oh, we're going around the sun 66,000 miles per hour. And somebody who's not educated or doesn't really fully grasp that, it does sound crazy.
Yeah.
It just does. So
it does.
I understand flat earthers. And then, I'm sure you remember me talking about like when the Stephen Hawking show kind of faked their experiment.
The helicopter. Yeah.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
CGI helicopter or whatever it is. It's just obviously they've duplicated scenes somehow or something.
Yeah.
But that's those are the things that I personally have a problem with, because I look at those as events that could have got me out of it, but just kind of pushed me further in, right?
Yeah.
Because again, I even told people if I went down and saw the sun circle, the number one question I would get when I got back, and if I switched sides, would be, well, why did Stephen Hawking fake his experiment? Sure enough, that's what I get, and I can't answer that.
I can't either. The thing is, it's for me that seems to be a bit more of like it's they're thinking entertainment and quality of production first rather than quality of proof. It's like the Katy Perry thing, like with the door.
Right.
Obviously, a PR stunt gone wrong. Jeff wanted to open the door, not the ladies. But now everyone's jumped. They've all jumped on it, and
right, which means nothing, right? And
no,
I've been surprised at that. There's been more people. Like, I lost a lot of VIP members when I flipped. That's fine, but more people left with the Katy Perry thing.
Wow.
Because they're like, oh, Jeran believes that Katy Perry went to space and this and that. I'm like, I don't even know why anybody would argue against that. Like, they're literally just throwing them up in the sky.
It's not really space, is it? Yeah.
No, it's just, it's goofy.
Yeah.
But it's like Flat Earth has gotten to this point where they have to deny everything. And it's almost like they don't even realize that craft has gone up numerous times.
Yeah.
And it's like they don't realize there's multiple crafts, so they keep pointing out, like, oh, look at the difference in this height to this window and this height. It's like, yeah, you're talking about two different launches, and they have two different pods. So I mean, it's like, it's like stuff that's so simple, but they don't get it.
I made a video on it, and I was like, you haven't said anything about the last 30 missions that have gone up.
Right.
Why now? Right. Why when Katy Perry's gone up?
Yeah, I don't know why it was such a big deal for them this time. And I mean, obviously the little flub up there, but it's an 11-minute. I call it a reverse bungee jump. It's just a glorified kind of way too expensive carnival ride.
Way too expensive, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, but again, for them just to deny it outright without any evidence, and like, you can tell when the flat earthers are lying that, I don't know if you saw, like, somebody took a screenshot of like a mannequin.
Yes,
sitting
with the hand. That was one of the test flights, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a test flight when they had a mannequin in there.
Yeah.
So it's like, they even somebody had to grab that old screenshot, bring it forward to today, and post it as if but they know where they got it.
Yeah.
So that's where you start wondering, the people that are just lying. Then you got people on, like, the fittest flat earther. Have you seen this guy?
Yeah, I've seen him. Yeah.
Just garbage people with garbage content, and they get 500,000.
Yeah, he gets a lot, doesn't he? Yeah. Yeah, I know he says things like entertainment only, but I think he just does that to cover his back, so the platform doesn't remove it.
Yeah, I think so too. And he's just clearly making shit up. And again, this is the scariest thing about our society going forward. I don't know how we stop that. Because now when you started YouTube, was there live streaming?
Yes. Yeah.
See, when I started, there wasn't. I actually missed those days because when it was videos only, it actually required you to do some research.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
You had to do research. You had to put together a video. You had to take the time. And if you did no research, then people would watch the video and they would just say, oh, I don't watch you anymore. What did I get out of this?
Yeah.
So stuff was a little bit more quality back then. I'm not saying it was more right. Still, Flat Earth was wrong. But more quality and time put into it. And then ever since live streaming has come along, because it's so easy to do a live stream, you just do it and it's done. There's no editing. There's no rendering. There's nothing, right? So, and then you get the most views if you come out right after something happens. So say take Trump getting shot, for example. Yeah. Is a person who takes the time to wait for the evidence to come in, wait for the details, the data, do a video, is going to be 2 weeks down the road and it's going to be over by then. So the people who get on their computer right away, run a live stream and say, let's talk about this and get everything wrong and convolute everything and bring up things that will be debunked later. That's the best way to get views. So how do we stop that from happening? I don't know. It's going to be... It's tough. It's going to take people.
But the thing is, I saw, when the recent hurricane hit Florida, there was a guy who was live streaming everything, like going like everything that's going on, all the tornado warnings, which is great to do, like warning people. He's got like 200,000 live watchers. He's absolutely caning it because he's right there on the moment doing it as which is great to do, but obviously he's doing well out of it as well.
Yeah, no, and that's good when you're doing something like that.
Yeah,
it's good. But I do think it just leads to people speculating, and then the people watching that take what people say as being facts about the event, and then you really get into people's minds, and then they get very confused. And then when the story comes out later, it's something different. They're like, "Oh, they're changing the story." It's like, no, well, you were listening to some YouTuber.
Yeah,
make shit up. So, who didn't know anything about the event. So it's just it scares me because I see, like, on TikTok. If you search Antarctica on TikTok, half the videos that come up are AI generated completely and totally frauds.
Yeah.
And then you go look at the comments and you realize, wow, a lot of these people believe that.
Yeah.
They believe that there's a statue bleeding blood in Antarctica. They believe whatever. And then I realized that even some things I look at it like, is that real? And then I realized if I put myself in the middle of 100 people, as say I'm 50% of intelligence, that means there's 50 people behind me, and like 20 or 30 of those people are going to believe that.
Yeah.
So that's a scary thought.
That is scary. Yeah.
Yeah, because people could just get away with lying now. And, when I watch videos on YouTube or anything, they're all set up. They're all fake events. They're fake, interactions in a gym or something. They're all set up. And it's just like, I don't think people even realize it. They just like the entertainment.
When you said that, you reminded me of my friend who has an F1 podcast. And when he releases like that night, and the first thing he says is, we might be wrong, but we're first.
Right. He probably gets the most views.
Yeah.
Too.
So.
Yeah. People like to be first.
Funny
so
stuff.
we can't. You're not going to be able to fix that, and you can't just tell people like, "Oh, take your time and come out with the right information."
Yeah.
That's not what's going to sell. So it really takes people just being smart when they're observing things or watching things. It's just like the final experiment, right? You had all these people coming out with videos saying there's no footprints, but you're looking at stuff that was uploaded from Antarctica.
Yeah.
So it's the smallest quality thing that you can do. Dave uploads it, and these guys are looking at the then downloaded from YouTube, which means it's been now condensed again, right? It's so you've got the worst product, and if people don't know how that works, obviously when you're rendering that, if it sees light colors and it makes them the same, so that when if you're looking at the snow, you're not going to see footprints because it didn't change enough for the computer to say, hey, I should show this frame. So it's just like so obvious that people needed to take their time on a lot of this stuff, and then it became a thing, right? It became a thing because what's the alternative, right? So it had to be faked. It must be faked. It can't be a 24-hour sun. So we had to fake it somehow, whether it's a studio and then you got Dubé and those guys coming out saying it was a studio. It's like such a bad look. And then for me, I'm like, hey guys, just so you know, like I still don't think we went to the moon. However, now I'm looking at it thinking all the evidence that I see from these guys is the same thing that they said about the moon.
Yeah.
So they all have jumped to conclusions. They all don't understand what really happened. They all don't get it. They have just created their own little fabricated story. So then you start going, man, that's not good news for the rest of conspiracies, because it really shows me, how many. I haven't seen anybody do any good research on that event on Antarctica. So how do I trust anybody to do good research on the moon?
Sure. I was going to ask you on that briefly, because you've been doing a bit of work with Dave McKeegan, haven't you?
Yeah.
And so you might not be totally convinced, but are you in a swaying moment at the moment?
Yes. Yeah, for sure. There's, things I thought were true about it that aren't. I still, again, I think that the best, probably the best position there is just saying, I'll believe it when they go back.
Yeah.
Just because I think it's just been too long, and I think it keeps getting canceled and keeps getting.
Yeah. Don't hold your breath on that.
Yeah. And I don't know if you ever saw my documentary. I did a documentary called NASA Going Nowhere Since 1958.
Yeah, I remember that one. Yeah.
Yeah, and it just showed that the presidents go back and forth, and so we've just continued that. It's been exactly what I said. Dear Moon was supposed to go.
Yeah.
And when that came out, I started making an open $500 bet on my channel, saying that they'll never go when they say they will. So that's what's still keeps me questioning things about that. But as far as the shape of the Earth, there's no more question there.
Yeah.
And then with that comes gravity. Okay, well then gravity makes sense. And with that comes orbits. Okay, orbits make sense. So you then, satellites are real. So you keep kind of getting to these levels, and the next level is the moon. And the reason the moon's so big to me is because if we did go to the moon, then they know all the distances to everything in the solar system, and they know everything that they've claimed to know. And do I still have some questions? We've been having these little kind of every 2 weeks or so getting together, just talking about a few things.
Yeah.
And he's definitely woke me up to some things. I still have some questions, with mountains that it shows and topography and stuff on the moon. But we'll get to the bottom of it and see what happens.
No, that's really good. It's really good. I mean, the problem is, of course, you haven't got another space superpower trying to get there at the same time. I think the reason you got to the moon so quickly is because Russia were trying as well, and they literally pumped everything into getting to the moon. If it was a race to Mars, then I'm sure it wouldn't be long until someone did that. And at the moment, there isn't those external pressures. So that's why things keep pushed back and everything with the new Artemis missions.
It's surprising. Now it looks like they're going to cancel SOS.
Yeah.
And, so I mean, that's just,
not great.
It's kind of, again, it could be legit, completely legit, although it also is questionable as to how we can keep struggling to do something that we did so easily back then. Now I get it that there was the political, environment was one that we would put all that money into it and get there. Yeah. And maybe that's the case. So again, if that is the case, I do think that they'll go back. Things get cheaper, should get easier. But if they keep kicking the can down the road, I'm gonna keep my mind open just in case. But no, I mean, for the most part, definitely I was wrong about the shape of the Earth, and it was much easier than it should have been. You kind of can make it difficult in your mind. And really, like now, I think anybody can go tell by just the sun. Just the sun, that's it. You can tell the shape of the Earth. You don't need NASA, you don't need authority, you don't need Simon Dan.
Totally agree. It's a shame that I am required. Yes. I've throughout the years of me being on YouTube, I've had a lot of insults from the flat Earth community, and you bore quite a brunt of it, didn't you? After the final experiment.
Yeah, I guess, it's funny because you think back to before, and I remember thinking to myself, like kind of playing some scenarios out in my mind, and like this didn't ever play out. Like I never thought to myself, what's been happening would happen. So it's surprising, but then again, it's not. Kind of now that I understand and I can look back at it, I can say, oh, this is what had to happen.
Yeah.
And when I'm playing out the scenario in my head before, there is no scenario where I thought, oh, everything will work perfectly in the South, and I'll understand the globe finally. I'll understand the sun, how it works finally. I'll understand that the globe matches every observation we make. I mean, that's what's so baffling to me, and what I'm going to start doing. I'm supposed to debate Whitsitt, I think, in like a month. And cool. Yeah. So, but one thing I want to point out to people is that, show me where the Earth doesn't match the globe as far as the location. Because if it's not a globe, then there has to be somewhere where you can point to and say, well, look, here in Bangladesh, it's supposed to do this, but it does that.
Yeah.
And if you can't find that, then the Earth's a globe. It's that simple. I mean, you can't lie to people and tell them they live somewhere they don't, and it match observations, because then it is what you told them that they live on. So, the globe predicts every sunrise, sunset, and it predicts, the backwards moving sun and moon, and the upside down sun and moon. Everything that you see and observe is predicted by the globe. So it's funny that there's even a question. It shouldn't have been a question. Now, I don't think there was good answers like that when I came out asking it. And it may be just because most of the people are just YouTube people and they don't really have a full grasp of it, and they would make mistakes. And it'd be very easy to pick up on those mistakes, right? If somebody says, gravity is a attraction between mass, and then you're able to find these scientists today saying, oh, no, it's actually not an attraction at all. It's not even a force. It's just very easy to point that to people and kind of laugh at it.
Yeah. One of my biggest bugbears with all of this was, if you had someone mainstream like Neil deGrasse Tyson or Brian Cox, they didn't really understand the nuances of your arguments.
Right.
So they weren't really helping, because they were sort of combating something which you don't even believe a lot of the time.
Right.
And that annoyed me, because they had such big polls and they had such big audiences, and they could really get across to people, but they were not taking on the actual things that you guys were saying.
No, I remember one video they had Neil deGrasse, and they asked him about flat Earth, and he's like, well, explain to me how it's night in New York, but daytime in California. It's like, okay, well, that's explained.
Yeah, exactly. So, that's exactly.
Come on, get some, right. And he thought that was like a big gotcha, but it's because they didn't understand. Again, they didn't realize that the flat Earth had time to kind of go through and refine some arguments. Now, is there some things that flat Earth can never explain and never has been explained? Yes, but they're also good at moving past those. And I mean, some of those things, when I started doing debates, I was surprised that some of those things just don't even come up. Yeah. People don't mention that. I mean, like circumpolar stars in the south, that's Goodnight Irene. How are the stars doing a little circle around Sigma Octantis when they have to go all the way around the outside of Earth? Meaning that sometimes they're on the other side of the sun, or on the other side of Polaris, which we're saying, oh, you can't see Polaris because it's too far. But you see the other star way past it. It just happens to be circling your polar star.
Yeah.
So, there's just at this point, it's kind of sad. And that's why at first I was just going to walk away from it. And then I kind of felt bad, because the people that I feel like I'm responsible for putting in there are stuck because they're not getting to hear me. They're not getting to getting told lies. They are, a cult is not the incorrect word to use for what it's become.
And I've heard that a lot. I heard that from Seek Truth, Speak Truth as well, when he left.
Well, yeah, you get demonized, and it's like and here's another thing I realized, like, so who's the only flat earther that has ever filmed the sun or moon? I'm sorry, filmed the ISS transit to sun or moon? Pretty sure it's me.
Yeah.
I do think that maybe Karen did it eventually recently. But that tells you something. Are you telling me nobody else has even thought about it? No, of course they've done it, but they don't want to show it because it goes against flat Earth.
And I used to put you and Ranty sort of similar sort of type of guys. You're both looking for the truth, and you're both doing experiments. And he spoke quite highly of you even when you were still a flat earther. So,
right, and there's that. Cognitive bias is a beast, man. That thing will grip you hard because, and just thinking you're doing research, but you're really not, right? Like you maybe read a whole book about Captain Cook, and you're so dialed in looking for that one paragraph or sentence that shows flat Earth that you fail to realize you just read a whole book about traveling on a globe. There's
great. That is a great point. It is a great point, and I totally see how it works like that.
That's how you read books. Yeah, you read books that way. You read articles that way. You're just looking for your truth. Now that looks like research to you. You're like, oh, I'm researching the flat Earth, and it would be hidden like this. But what it creates is a situation where everything becomes flat Earth evidence. Yeah. Even an entire book, you find one line and it's flat Earth evidence. So that's just not the right way to research.
Well, all I can say is absolute kudos to you, mate. Everyone who's commented on my videos regarding the final experiment has all, sort of wished you well in how you've gone about it. It's very admirable how you've gone about it, and I don't think many flat earthers would have done it the way you have.
I doubt it.
So well done, mate. Really, really, really appreciate you coming on. Thank you. I've got one last question.
Okay.
How annoying is it that I don't debate to flat earthers?
It's annoying.
Yes.
But again, it's one of those things where when I was on that side, it was always like, oh, Simon Dan's afraid to debate.
Yeah.
He says he doesn't debate established facts. Now on this side, if somebody asks me to debate, I'm like, I don't really see the reason. I don't see the need to debate established facts.
Yeah. So that was my main thing, just to annoy people that constantly ask me.
It does annoy me. I think it isn't more when you build Legos though.
It's more annoying when I build Legos.
They don't like that at all.
Oh no, they hated that. They hated the Legos. Yeah.
Don't do any lunar landers with Legos. They don't like that at all.
Well, oh no, I've got the space shuttle attached to the plane coming up soon, so.
Okay, well, good. Annoy them some more. No, I appreciate everybody's kind words. Like they've been really great. The Globe community.
Yeah.
Could have made this a lot worse because I'm obviously getting trashed by my old friends. So the fact that I've had people reach out and say, hey, thanks for being honest, and there's been quite a few flat earthers. I mean, anybody who thinks that it's just the 5 of us or 6 of us that people know about. I've gotten so many emails from people that I've never heard of that just say, thanks a lot. I was a believer. My wife and I was a believer. We were on the fence or whatever, and we no longer are flat earthers. So
I genuinely think no matter how much work me and the other debunkers do, it will never be as much as when an influential flat earther leaves, because that's too big to sort of compete against.
Yeah, I hope I get to stay around and do more stuff. I mean, it's my support's gone, so I mean, as far as that goes, I've already had to drop applications and things. But
probably for the first time in the history of my channel, I will link your channel in the description.
Thank you. Yeah, doing FTFE has told me to do a membership. What do they call it?
Oh, the membership drive that he does. Yeah, I don't know how he does that. I don't know how he stays up so long.
That's why I said I'll give it a try. I'm going to do it. So that's going to be not. I guess for shoot. Let me get to the date because I forgot when this is going to air, but it will be next weekend.
Okay. Well, I'm sure people will come along. I mean, I think personally you'll be a valuable asset to the team. We call it the team. So I
think that I have a unique position because I know how they think, right?
Yeah.
So that it's easier for me to kind of get it, and then I also will hear people say things like, "That's not going to change anybody's mind." It's just they can dismiss that. So it'll be the end of this month, the 30th of May.
All right, we'll put that in the description. We'll link your channel, and everyone, please go and have a look because honestly,
have a look. We'll have some fun. We'll go through. We're going to debunk the 200 proofs and go through some more of stuff. We'll have a bunch of fun.
Music to my ears. Thank you very much, mate. Appreciate you joining me. That's it then. We're done for another one. Really big thanks to Jeran for joining us today. I will see you tomorrow, where I will be. What will I be doing tomorrow? Let's have a look. I will be. I found a new flat earther. It's a lady called Jen, and she thinks that NASA proves flat Earth. So I will see you then. Thanks very much. Bye bye.